Start recording now. I'll say it again. We actually got together to play my West Marches Midlands game, but everyone backed out. They all want to play tomorrow. I think they heard Andy was playing tonight, and they were like, "No go." What time is it for you right now, Andy?
It is 1:15 in the morning.
A quarter past one. What did you take a nap? Is that what you said you were doing?
Yep, I had about 3 hours kip, and then set the alarm.
That's pretty awesome. Then you played a game last night for you?
Yeah, I played in Larry's Delving Deeper one, which was 12 till about half two.
That's incredible. All right, so that would be Larry from Follow Me and Die. I forgot
Yeah,
Larry's
that's
last
right.
name. Oh boy.
I just know him as Larry.
All right, so you're not going to be able to see our beautiful faces anymore, and you will be watching the Roll20 screens. Because what we're going to do is, what do you think? Should I tell people? Any spectators that are on today, tomorrow, and probably the next session are all going to get thrown into a raffle for this awesome hardback book from Pickpocket Press. So this is the Low Fantasy Gaming Deluxe Edition. It is this the version you have, or did you have the free copy, Andy?
No, I've got that version. Yep.
So this is the one that came on the Kickstarter,
Yeah.
right? So I'm going to do a raffle, and I'm going to send this book, and you get the book for free, and I'll pay for shipping. So that's what we're going to do. So I don't know how we're going to find out how many people are actually in here. So everyone who shows up, say something in the chat so I know you're here, and I'll write it down that you're here. So it looks like I thought I saw Eye of the Beholder, but maybe he ran away. Nope, he's still here. See, this is interesting because on the Twitch channel it shows 5 people watching, um, but just you and Andy in the chat room. So I don't know what that means, but maybe we'll find out. Oh, Brent Taylor does exist. He was just waiting for a long time. All right, awesome. We got some people talking. So I'm going to write Brent Taylor down. And Elmquay. So how many of you guys out there have ever played low fantasy gaming before or know what it's about? Anybody? No? I've never played it before, but I think it's pretty cool. How well did you read these books, Andy?
Not in great detail. I flicked through them and read the pertinent bits, I think.
Awesome. You know what the pertinent bits are already just from watching? Just like the mechanics and such. I get you.
Yeah, I know the melee and the range weapons, stuff like that, and the skills.
All right. Well, we'll figure it out to Germany, Elm, one way or the other. Maybe we'll split it. I don't know. We'll see. The books got shipped to me. I would almost say Australia, but he probably print on demand. Maybe what the best thing to do is instead of sending you that one, we'll just send you a maybe a free, and you'll have to pay shipping or get it. However they do print on demand for you. We'll figure it out. I'm going to run this tomorrow when we actually have players, if they show up. But tonight we're going to jibber jabber for a while and hopefully engage with you guys, and then talk about Andy and his character. All right. So you guys should be seeing the Roll20 now. Awesome. So this is the sweet Roll20 page I made. Andy, I'm going to bring your character up, and we'll take a look at this sheet because Steve Nikki has made a pretty in-depth character sheet for this game. So Andy made the stats. I got a handy dandy ability scores macro over here that automatically rolls 4d6 in order, dropping not in order. Sorry, 4d6 dropping the lowest, and then you have an extra 15 to put anywhere you want. So it looks like Andy made a ranger So, Andy, you want to talk about how you decided, where to put your stats here? Maybe what your character's name is, why he's named that.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously put the 15 on Dex, bigger ranger. I mean, it was for the. Well, I'm getting some feedback here. Sorry, Hobbs. It's like echoing when I'm talking.
Oh, turn off, mute your Twitch. Hello, Shadow World. Welcome to the channel. Hey, one of these days I'm going to have all that cool stuff. So when people show up, I'll be able to say hello and all that. Um,
Ah, yep, sorted. Okay, Hobbs, it's muted.
all right, go ahead and you can. Why don't you tell people how you decided? Man, I don't see your character sheet on here. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
on.
it should be there.
No, it's on the wrong one. Son of a biscuit. It's on my other one.
Ah, right. Okay.
All right.
Well, I threw the 15, which was the highest stat I ended up with, which was the freebie one that you get onto Dex. Seemed logical to get it for the range weapons, and then threw the other 15 on perception because there seemed to be quite a lot to do with the ranger about perceiving things, hopefully tracking and stuff like that.
You can't see anything. That's my fault. We'll be back. Keep going. Did you look at? I mean, because like they said some things like you to make your rolls to see if you're successful. Like if you almost get killed or whatever.
No, I didn't take that into account. I must admit, because at the time, a bit like TJ, I was a bit naive about the actual stats when I rolled that up. So my con ended up at 13, and was it Will is at 12. Were those the two? I think the discussion was about.
Yeah, it was something about that. I'm not that good at it myself, so I'm not surprised.
So at least the con gives me, a modifier of 1, always useful on the hit points.
All
And then I
right.
left the int at 12, and the will at 12, and the charisma at 11. So still decent rolls.
So someone asked what their first impressions were. What are your first impressions on the game?
The game itself, I think the first thing was that with the low fantasy, it didn't seem quite as low as I was expecting in many ways. I don't know whether that's just in the that from just reading the rule book. I mean, obviously the flavour of the setting will set the tone as well, but there seemed a lot more magic in there than I was expecting on that. I don't know whether you found that, Hobbs.
Yeah. When I read low fantasy, I really expect maybe gritty, almost historical, and not hardly any magic. But then at the same time, you have to realize pickpocket press. I think they're comparing it to like 5e.
Yeah,
Hey, Eye of the Beholder, I see you. I am marking you down as a person in the chat, so you'll be in the raffle. Does anybody have in the chat want to say anything about? I didn't know you had to follow other channels. Hey, you Deedle, how's it going, buddy? All right. So if you guys want to, if you have any questions about low fantasy gamings or any concepts or ideas that you want to talk about, just throw them in the chat and we'll talk about them. We're not going to be able to play tonight because all I have is Andy. So I won't be able to show any live play tonight, you Deedle. But do you have any thing you want to say about the game or anything? So what else do you have to fill in here? We can talk about filling it while they are going on. Oh,
yeah, I've
I
not.
know. Did you see that I had posted that character, um, the pinned thing on Discord, where you could pick
Yeah,
what your gear was or whatever just from the gear pack?
yeah, that's exactly what I used. I used the Ranger gear pack, so all the stuff that's down in the inventory should be from that. Hopefully, if I got it right.
Okay, perfect. So what I'll do now is I'll give you the brief introduction that I wrote for this game, and then we'll talk about it. Make up
Okay.
back character. Oh, he's telling you to make some backup characters because it's a pretty tough. If you, I don't know if these guys will come at it flippantly or not, Yadidel, because I'm kind of an old school GM, and I think most people are expecting it to be old school. But oh, awesome! Hey, Shadow, I'll get to that. We got LMQ from Germany dropping some information. So Shadow is a short-time screeder and a first-time Hobbs chatter. So does that mean he only listens to random screed and not Hobbs and Friends? What do you think, Andy?
It could be. I thought once you listened to one of your podcasts, you were in for them all.
Are you saying you've already listened to them all?
I've not gone through your back catalogue. I only picked up on your podcast a couple of months ago, but since then I listened to them all. It was
Oh,
actually Hex Talk that got me the link into you, Hobbs.
oh, okay. Well, yeah, Hex Talk was originally on Hobbs and Friends, but then it was popular, and I wanted to give my boys Hoffman and Jose some love, so we just started our own thing.
Yeah, it was excellent. I enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Are you planning any more or not?
We
Is it?
are. We talk about it a lot. The plan was to go use the Forlorn Shores as a vehicle to give us fodder to talk about, but that kind of, I don't know, it just kind of fell off. I don't know if people got busy or what,
Hmm.
um, but we are planning to do it. I know that a Forlorn Shores game just ran recently, and it may be a situation where I just won't be on it. We'll see. I don't know. We may have other guests or something. All right. So Shadow asks, what is a good beginner rule set for an OSR gamer? What do you think, Andy?
Um, well, Old School Essentials is the one I'd always go with at the moment, which is out on PDF now.
I think that's what I would say too. But I mean, I'm a BX lover, so that isn't a huge surprise. Um,
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think BX is a good rule set. It's the one I've introduced my boys to.
I would also, I mean, low fantasy gaming it might be a good one because it's a decent gateway. Like if you started with
Mm.
5e and you wanted to shift into something that feels, but I guess I don't know how OSR low fantasy gaming feels though either.
Not sure yet until we play it, but it's
Yeah.
a bit more complicated, I think, than BX. I think that's fair to say.
All right.
So I
So
don't know whether it's a good starting point.
all right. Well, let's say old school. Let's say old school essentials by Gavin Norman, Necrotic Gnome, and you can get the PDFs, but I haven't gotten my books yet. You gotten your
No,
books?
not
No.
got mine either.
They're awesome, and Gavin's super good, and he has some setting. He has a setting with Dolmenwood, and it seems like a lot of people are jumping on board using that to run even different types of games. So already people are using those core rules to make other games. Sweet. All right, so what else we got here? Elmquay asked, will you be running Pickpocket Press Adventures or one of your own design? It'll be a hybrid. Usually I do everything on my own, but I really want to give people a feeling for what Steve did with this setting and all the stuff that he's written. So I'm going to try and use some of those, but some of my players are going to be familiar with that. So I'm going to run this game as West marches. So that means any players can play at any given time. So there's not going to be a consistent player group. There may be maybe one will get started, but that isn't the intent. The intent is to start at a home base, which is going to be Vorngard for right now. So and none of the other locations are open for starting. So all of the characters are going to start in Vorngard, and so the most likely they're even going to be Vornari just reaching Vorngard recently, and then I'm going to have a random table that the characters are going to roll on, the players for their characters, and then that'll be like their hook, how they got here or what they may know about. And what do you think about that? Did you realize that, Andy?
No, well, I'm not familiar with the setting at all. I have to confess. I've not deliberately not done any research into it until I knew where we were going with this sort of campaign.
Oh, and you don't have to because, like I say, you're going to be new. It's kind of like a Viking culture, so you don't even have to know anything else about the rest of the setting. So that's the plan, and I am because I mean the adventures that he has are some of them are just a couple paragraphs, and he did send me the other book that has I don't know, 100 different things. I don't know where it is. He sent so many things that I lost some of them. So I have two hardcovers, but I'm actually just using my soft cover. So I will probably give the other hardcover away as well. So I'm pretty excited about that. All right, so let's see. Dwindling. I really like the luck mechanic. I play DCC, and I'm a big fan of that of Goodman Games and the DCC community. So I like that luck mechanic, but this one feels a little. It does feel a little grittier. Do you know what I'm talking about, Andy, or no?
I've only played DCC the once with Brendan Lascelles when he came over a bit earlier in the year, and I managed to sit in on one of his games and play that. So I'm not that familiar with it.
Okay, it's a cool game. I would tell you to go listen to Hobbs and Friends where he talks about it. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so Shadow Whirl said found Hobbs through Unspeakable. I don't know what that is, man. Hex, if you want to find the Hex Talk podcast, that's what you'd look up, Hex Talk. So, uh, other than that, I mean, did you find it through your podcast catcher, Andy?
Um,
Or did you go to
I,
audiodungeon.com and get it?
I'm trying to remember now. It was a while back. I think it was actually through just my um, the application I use for podcasting. It came up as a associated with other podcasts that I was listening to at the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so check Hex Talk. Otherwise, look at audiodungeon.com, all one word. Um, and you should be able to find the website that has Hex Talk on there. I think there's 6 or 8 episodes, so there's not that many. All right, so Brent Taylor talks about emulating the DCC funnel. I saw that Steve from Pickpocket Press had like a funnel. Um, but like I say, I think most of the people playing this game are going to be familiar with how I run games. Maybe not. Maybe not, though. I don't know for sure. We'll see. And they'll know my Kalmata, which I use Old School Essentials for, my Kalmata game. I always say that it has an 80% fatality rate, which is pretty extensive or pretty lethal, I guess. It's worse than Mortal Kombat. So, all right, where are we at? I think. Oh, misdirected Mark. I'm cool with those guys. I mean, Phil and Chris, and I still talk to some of their fan base is my fan base. So there's some crossover there, and with gaming and BS. So I wouldn't say Unspeakable Shadow. It's all cool. In fact, I haven't listened to their podcast in a while, but I mean, I hung out with those guys at Origins, not last year. Yeah, last year, and it was a good time. And I had met Chris previously, and it was a good chance to meet Bob and Phil. So, have you ever listened to any Misdirected Mark Network podcasts before, Andy?
No, that's a new one on me.
So they got quite a few. They just had She's a Super Geek is on there, which was nominated for an Emmy this year. Senda, and I'm not sure who else is on there, but have you ever heard of the Gnome Stew blog?
No, no, this is all new to me.
You're just beginning to dabble, sir. It must be.
I am.
Well, that's because all you British guys, all you want to do is get involved with the OSR anchorites because there's so many now. It's the OSR anchorites is a group of podcasters that hang out on the Audio Dungeon Discord, but they almost either they started or they still all use Anchor to do their shows. And Random Screed was one of the first, mine, and then some other people joined up. And now I don't even know how many there are, 50 maybe?
Something like that, I'd have thought.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going to burn any bridges. And honestly, the big difference was just as far as the Misdirected Mark Network and Hobbs and Friends being on there originally, they really helped me get started. So I can't really say anything bad. I mean, Chris and Senda went out on a limb to put me on their network. They had no idea that it was going to catch on like it did. Who would know that, right? But it was really popular, and I just have to be in control of my own IP. That's all. I can't let someone else decide if a show should get censored or not censored or whatever. But I know Chris was probably the most hurt by it because he helped create the show. You know, we talked about it a lot, and he edited a lot of the shows for the first year. So there was definitely, and I don't talk to him hardly at all anymore, but I would. I mean, we still tweet each other or on Twitter and all that. So I'm certainly not going to put those guys down because, like I say, they helped me make it what I am today. They're definitely my podcasting mentors, along with Sean from Gaming and BS. So, man, Andy, this turned into just like a Hobbs show, me and you talking, and not a lot of gaming. But that's what happens when we get pimped by Gabriel, I guess.
It's all good. It's all good.
Are there
We'll get some gaming tomorrow.
Yes. Are you going to play in this? Or
Yeah,
no?
yeah.
All right. Is there anyone in the chat that isn't talking? Because you should be talking, so I can make sure I put you in the raffle. All right. So what else do we got on this? Do we want to look at this character sheet some more, or what do we want to do?
Yeah, I've suddenly realised I've got no armour. That's a bit of an oversight.
Okay, so in the gear pack, it's not just the belongings; it's also in the first paragraph. You get one melee weapon, one armor, shield if available to that class, and a D6 worth of gold pieces. So the armor in this game is kind of interesting. It's a little story gamey or black hackish. Is that a plane? Is this a low flying biplane just fly by or?
Might have been a motorbike on my end just
Okay.
going past.
No, I heard it. Just the way it sounded, it reminded me of like the old in World War II. What were the Japanese biplanes? Kamikazes or no? What they had a call with the circle on them, right? They had a.
Yeah,
I can't remember what they were called.
Yeah.
Man, shout it out, guys. Oh yeah, Zero. Thanks, buddy. Gear sets. I don't know what a gear set is. You know what a gear set is, Andy?
I think it's what we're using, isn't it? The like the choice of gear packs.
Oh yeah. We're using the gear sets because I do want to be able to have characters be made very quickly, and we don't know what we're doing, so we're going to learn the system as we go, and that really seemed like the easiest way. Personally, I kind of hate rolling up my gold and then going through and picking all the stuff of what I have. That's a pain in the butt, in my opinion. It's not one of my favorite things.
No, agreed.
Like Powered by the Apocalypse gear sets, similar, but I mean, it's more like what's another game that uses gear packs that are similar to this, in your opinion, Andy?
The only one I've used, and I don't know whether it was just Shay did it particularly, was for Castles and Crusades. Was that out of the Adventurer's backpack, maybe?
Yes, they do. Castles and Crusades has that. But I was thinking, I was going to say something older, but Castles and Crusades is pretty old. It's just newer to me. But kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yes, Elm, I do. And there's no problem being the first time watching the shows because this is only the second time that I've actually just got on Twitch and started talking. I did a pre-interview for a Hobbs and Friends episode earlier this week, but normally I'm just running games, and I used to do it always on YouTube, but now I've started to do it on Twitch, and I'm actually seriously loving the Twitch community. I really have had a good time hanging out with some other Twitchers. But as for your question, what happens when a PC dies? Yeah, you start at level 1. You restart, which can be brutal, but that's the way we do it. And I may end up changing it for this game because I haven't really seen what you do with gold pieces in this game that much. Did you notice that at all, Andy? I didn't really see a huge need for gold.
I agree, completely agree.
But I don't know how deeply I read into it. So, all right, let's. Like I said, I had a table for you here. So let's roll on this. Well, first I'm going to read you this thing because I was practicing reading it today. So this is I think when we actually start playing the game, like so tomorrow when the show starts, what I'll do is I'm going to play the music that TJ Drennan wrote for me, and then I'm going to read this this introduction that I wrote. Are you ready? It's not that good, so
Go
don't
for
get
it.
too excited. All right, I had to take a drink because I got to do it in my Conan voice. In the ages between the eruption of Mount Rokan and the beginning of the Fourth Age is a time of grave danger and hardship, a time full of people searching for leadership and a sanctuary against Thule and scorn. It is a time of high adventure. You have sailed across the Boreal Sea from the island of Vornar and the frozen coast to the vast abundance of the Midlands. The Vornari outpost of Vorngard, a haven of raiders, and the occasional four has arisen in the last score of years. Your future, as your past, is your own. All right, that's it. What do you think? Did that get you in? Did it get you excited?
Excellent.
Or were you like, I can't understand what you're saying?
No, excellent. Excellent. I like your Conan voice.
All right. My wife was asking me I come home and I'm not like, hey, what's for dinner? She's getting ready to go to a football game for her, with her, I don't know what it is, 25-year classmates or something. But she's like, hey, how was your day? And I'm like, in the days of high adventure. So yeah, anyway. All right. So the next thing we would do for your character is decide what your background. You don't pick backgrounds, right?
No.
I think this is based off of the party bonds in Deluxe, or I think Steve first put it out in the Midland setting book. But
Right.
roll a d20, bro.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. What'd you get?
3.
Ooh, a 3. Nice.
Yeah, I did it in the roll 20.
Yeah, I'm looking at so many different things that.
Right. No problem then. I'll call it out. Yep. I got a 3.
All right, so this is pretty bizarre. So when you must have arrived in the Midlands previous to this, but when you did arrive, um, I don't know if how you got there, but in some way you must have just returned to Vorngard because you were involved under the tutelage of a famous and highly respected or feared Master Macau. So,
Master Macau.
I think I have it figured out. So there is a group of people that live on the southern edge of of the Midlands, and they're known as something. I'm leafing through my book right now, peoples, and they kind of have an Occidental feel to them. Man, it might be Nadician. Let me look up these dudes. And I may have messed that up. It could be more of like maybe an Amazonian, but with males and stuff.
All right.
All right, yeah, that's what we'll say. So the Nadicians are the dark-skinned people of the equatorial Nadicia. They're expansionists with the largest and most experienced forces in the region. They have dark eyes and hair, often cropped short or woven into tight braids. All right, so what I'm thinking is it's possible that at some point you were raided from your area on the Boreal Sea by a Nadician ship and enslaved or conscripted in some way, but under the guise of a person giving tutelage. So perhaps you worked your way out of indentured servitude and then got some tutelage by this this guy, this master scholar named Master Macau. So that's Macau. So that means like sometimes you might be able to know some crazy stuff,
Yeah, that sounds good.
some scholarly type things. All right, so there you go. Now let's roll a d6.
Okay, that's a 5.
All right. So so this is your rumor or hook that you could move forward with if you choose to. So when other players are here, you could take this information and use that to get to move forward in whatever direction you choose to. So the rune seer Ulfrey has divined aid for the deep one in the form of a ruin in the Sunstone Ranges.
So that's the Sunstone Ranges, did you say?
I did. Here, I'll copy and paste it.
Okay. Do I know where the Sunstone Ranges are?
Yeah, that's pretty easy. You'll see. I'll move you over to a map. There, I pasted that into the Roll20 for you.
Okay. Yep.
Hey, you Deedle, be good, man. So it's Saturday at 2 p.m. tomorrow, y'all. All right. Thank you, Eye of the Beholder. High expectations now. Oh boy. All right. So maybe you guys want to see this now. I'll switch you over to the map and show off some of this stuff. I think it's this one. Yep. All right. So here is Vorngard.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this is a pretty sweet map, and so a lot of these assets are pretty awesome. So the streets are winding, muddy paths, rutted by carts and hooves, flanked by wooden buildings with pitched roofs. Architectural motifs of dragons, the sea, and shield heraldry dominate. The distinct lack of stone or brick dwellings. The temperature is cool, often with a crisp wind blowing from the north.
With the setting, Hobbs, is it in a softback book or
Yes,
is it just right? Okay.
that's what I'm looking at. There is a PDF, but maybe I don't know if you don't really need the setting book.
No, I tend to avoid it. As a player, I'd rather sort of discover the world as we uncover it.
All right, and so oops. I can show the people, but you wouldn't be seeing this. All right, so this is the Overland Hex map.
Yeah, I've got it up on my other screen, Hobbs, so I can follow the Twitch as well.
So Vorngard, if you can see there, is right on the north of this fairly large lake. These are 10-mile hexes, by the way. So
Right.
you shouldn't really look at it on Twitch. You should look at it on Roll20 because you won't be able to see all this because it's darkened, and you can only see the area around this marker. And as you guys go exploring, then it'll open these areas up. So the Sunstone Ranges are to the west.
Right.
There are all these hills and things over here. These are kind of the Iron Skull Mountains, I think. Iron Hull Mountains. So that's up to the east, and then the Stillwater and the rest of the Midlands are to the south, past the Lake of the Stillwater, through the Wistwood, and down into Lake Argos, which is like a 200-mile radius, massive inner sea almost. And that's what the whole setting is, kind of around that and some other areas. So it's pretty cool.
No, it looks sweet, I must admit.
Yeah, I have some things set up in here that will follow a few of the hooks that I had placed. Um, but shoot, man, I don't really know what else I have. Any of you guys who are out there in spectator land, if we have any new people who weren't here before, Polizzi, I don't know, like another TV viewer sounds like a bot, but I don't know. Commander Root sounds like a bot. I don't know if that is. But Polizzi and Lurks sounds like, I think Lurks is a bot. But I don't know if Polizzi is actually still here or not here. If you are, say something in chat and I will put you on the list for the raffle. All right, man. What else do we got? Do you feel like you know what's going on? Do you not? Where are we at?
Yeah, I think certainly I just need to finish my character sheet off, and I've noticed a couple of things. It's always the same, isn't it, when you go into the detail and suddenly realise, I've not put that in.
Well, these character sheets are pretty extensive, and
Yeah.
I don't know what all will be used. Do you want to talk about how the game actually runs a little bit? Maybe that would be cool. We could put you in a fight with something. Do you want to do that?
Give it a go, yeah.
Purely. Yeah, you know what the word is.
I'm not going to be rolling up another character, am I, after this?
No, that's what I'm saying. Purely out of context or whatever.
Yeah.
This will just be a whatever. So I don't actually have a map for this situation. What the heck? That was weird. I don't actually have a map for this or anything, but I do have your token. I don't know if you saw that.
No. Right. Yep. Okay. I need to just zoom that out a little bit.
All right. Maybe we should move the dudes over to being able to see what we're doing.
Yeah.
The dudes. That's all you guys. As far as travel time goes, that's a good question. Like I mentioned, I'm always going to try and not use my default, and I'm actually going to get used to what's in the book. And I know he has some travel times in here. They seemed a little slow, I thought, but let me see here. Move. This is pretty awesome. How often do you guys watch someone look at a book? Would that be would that be an awesome Twitch stream? So page 130 it looks like. In exploration, which makes sense. So roads and trails in 8 hours of travel, which is pretty much what people usually would do, I would think. Is 10 miles.
So a single hex.
A single hex a day, yeah, is what they're talking. And that's on road. Plains and light woods are 8 miles. Forest hills, 7 miles. What I would probably do is say instead of traveling 8 miles for plains or forest and hills, you're moving. You're traveling for 10 or 12 hours that day instead. Or if you don't want to, then we'll break it up. In my Kalmata game, I actually, which is another West Marches game, I'm actually box text bad. I'll probably read some box text too, Shadow. I just read my own box text. Anyway, I used 1 mile hexes, and I felt like sometimes I feel like that's too small. But it is a jungle environment, and so maybe it works because you can't see that far. The actual planet that the Midlands is on is supposedly smaller. Good, I like jokes, Shadow. So you would actually, even if you were on the ocean, you would be able to see less. Isn't that was interesting? I just read something in the Midlands. I think the reason for that is because he has a lot of different biomes in a small area. So he's got, the cold and north area, and now he has a jungle, equatorial area. So it's pretty interesting to me that he basically just said, "Oh, the planet's smaller," and so they say on the ocean on Earth you can see about 3 miles before the horizon moves. So if something's taller than the horizon, obviously you'd be able to see it at a farther distance. But if you're on the ocean where the curvature of the planet changes, so I immediately was thinking, man, so if this is a smaller planet, that means the curvature is tighter. So on the ocean, like you probably only be able to see half that far or something, which would be kind of crazy. Was that too geeky or what? You seem like you're like,
No.
what? Oh, I know you were bored yourself, so you were off looking at something. I'm looking up my YouTube channel for. It looked like one of the people asked. I don't even know what my YouTube channel is, so. It's just Jason Hobbs, I think. Does that sound possible? I'm going to find.
Yeah.
There should be. I thought there was like a share button.
Good morning.
All right, here is one of my Kalmata games that streamed July 28th, 2019. So you should be able to get to the rest of my YouTube from that, Brent. All right, there's one of my YouTube videos of running Kalmata. So you're welcome. Check that out and let me know what you think. Put some comments in there. We need some stuff. But I expect this to be fairly similar, except obviously we're going to be using low fantasy gaming as opposed to old school essentials, which is what that's really written on or ran with. You've never played that before, Andy? What's up? Oh, you have to be a patron to actually play in that game. Are you still there, Andy? Yeah.
Yeah. No, sorry, still here. No, I was just reading on the travel speeds and stuff. Sorry.
Pretty interesting, right?
Yeah. I've not got that far into the book, I must admit, because obviously that's sort of the GM.
Yeah. You shouldn't have to know that, but I'm notoriously bad at reading rule books. I usually learn by playing, and then I usually have at least one or two guys who someone might say is a rules lawyer. So
right.
All right. So I just happen to have. So they don't really have in low fantasy. You wouldn't normally see a bunch of goblins and ogres and all that. Now they do have these things that Steve calls half men, which sounds pretty cool.
Is that the Scorns? Is it? Or...
It is.
Yeah.
So he has these things he calls half men. The Scorn.
Because they are a player character, aren't they?
No, that's the
Thule. It's a half Scorn, is it?
No, it's Scorn are called half men. They're almost like
right.
It seems like it's kind of an analog of Neanderthals or Cro-Magnon man or something like that. All right, so let's open up this dude. I have some Scorn in here. We'll just do melee if that's okay.
Yeah.
Now.
Okay.
Unless someone has some ideas, if they do, fill them out in the old chat room, y'all. Tell me what you want to see. I could throw up a map fairly quick, but it seems overkill.
Yeah.
All right. I really found the deluxe edition of Low Fantasy Game interesting because of the amount of stuff that he took from the Midlands book. So this is the Midlands book. You can see it, Andy, but the people at home can't. But the Midlands book has a bunch of stuff that he then added into the deluxe edition that wasn't in the original. So I thought.
When did the original come out then, Hobbs?
Oh, I'd have to find it downstairs. Yeah. I don't know.
It's a few years, 3 or 4 years ago. Is it something like that?
I would say so. Let's look it up.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of low fantasy gaming until a couple of months ago when Shay Webster introduced me to it.
Man, you keep on dropping Shay's name. I feel like I got to mention him at some point.
Now, well, I game with him he only lives about 20 minutes from me, you see, so I game with him every other Friday at his house.
So did you know he was as famous as he is?
No.
Is he?
No.
That's the question.
He's certainly known in anchorite circles
Oh,
now.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say he has one of the better shows. The guys I play with face to face, they have no idea they know who I am because I'm like related to them, or I've been gaming with them since we were in high school or something. But all this other stuff they don't get involved with at all. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, right. Okay.
It's kind of interesting, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, I play with those guys once a month, and I was like, "Oh, you should have heard what this guy said on my show or whatever." They're like, "Oh, all you ever talk about is your podcast." You're too busy playing with those people from all over the world to hang out and play with us. And I'm like, well, they're actually way more engaged and interested. All right, man. I don't even know where would we look this up. Maybe here. Because I was trying to find it on Wikipedia because sometimes, but it's not on there. 2016.
Yeah, okay. So
2016 is what RPGNet says.
Yeah. It was a Kickstarter, was it? I assume to start with. Certainly the hardback wasn't it?
The hardback. I have a soft cover for the other one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brent. It is the PDF is cool too. Is the Kickstarter still going right now? Do you know? Does anybody know?
For the companion, I think it is. It's not got long to go though.
Oh.
Is that the one you mean?
Yes, the companion.
Yeah.
So all you guys in the chat, if you don't own it, go get the companion. I'm pretty excited about it because it has some domain stuff. Thank you, Brent. Yeah, I think it is still going. I wanted to have Steve on Hobbs and Friends, but our schedules are not too good. He's like in the future for me. So 15 hours in the future. It's noon on Saturday where he lives. Where is it? What is it for you right now? Middle of the night, you said. So like 2 a.m. by now, probably.
Yep.
Crazy. All right. So. Oh, did you turn something on? Because I can hear me now.
No, I've not done anything. I don't know what it is. Occasionally it does something switching.
All right, so Scorn are also known as half-men or beastmen, are heavy-set, pink-skinned proto-humans, often scarred and heavily sunburnt. They would be 7 feet tall, but for their stooping stature with small eyes, flat faces, and rudimentary ear holes. Scorn are dull-witted cannibals, more beasts than men, raiding outposts and caravans from nearby wildlands. They live to eat, breed, and fight, inevitably bringing them into conflict with their neighbors. So pretty nasty dudes.
Yeah.
All right.
And the half Scorns are down as a playable race as well.
Oh, in the
In the
main
book,
yeah, not in Midlands.
Yeah. And some of the classes as well you're not playing. Is that correct, Hobbs? Artificer, is it? Is that how you pronounce it? Or Artificer?
Yeah, Artificer, that's what I say. But Artificer,
Yeah.
Artificer? Artificer? I don't know. Oh, that's right.
But you're allowing magic users, is that correct?
One. Just one. No cultists because the gods do not answer in the Midlands.
Yeah.
And only one magic user, and Shay made him first. So as soon as he dies, then someone else will have that opportunity.
Cool. And monks are allowable?
I think so. But yeah. I couldn't really imagine seeing a Venori monk. But when some of the other areas open up, it does remind me of like Nadicians or something like that. I'm not a huge monk fan in games, but people like them. And I'm hesitant to say no.
Don't think I've ever played a monk in all my years of gaming. Probably should put that right.
I played a monk at North Texas last year, and it was in
What?
a game by Paul Stromberg. Have you ever heard of him?
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
He's big into the legends of wargaming in Wisconsin. So he does all this research into like what Gary did and running his chainmail games, and they use the original rules of that, or
Right.
like Braunstein and just all sorts of like at GaryCon, which held in Lake Geneva, where Gary was from. They do this big sand table miniature war game using chainmail, and it's the Battle of the Temple of Elemental Evil. The first temple. Do you know that module?
Yeah.
So in that module, there's a picture that the forces of good before that adventure starts. The backdrop that forces of good had went and destroyed it like 40 years previous. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's what the
Yeah, I've
battle
got.
is that 40 years previous battle.
Ah,
And
right.
so,
Okay.
like when the forces of good hit it with like catapults, he can actually take pieces off of the castle or the moat house. Really, is
Oh,
what it is, the moat house,
yeah.
and then he'll put the destroyed pieces up there. So eventually, if the forces of good destroy it, it'll look exactly like the destroyed picture.
Oh, cool.
It
That's
is.
a neat idea.
It's a super awesome, and anyone who ever has the opportunity should definitely play that miniature war game. Even if you don't know what you're doing or whatever, you'll still enjoy just seeing the moat house get destroyed by the forces of good against these forces of elemental evil that you've probably played, 20 times in the past 30 years. So yeah, it's pretty cool. All right. So I have the scoring up here. There's a little token for him there. Maybe I'll make it bigger so y'all can see. All right, there's Toke. What do you think of that picture I made for you?
Cool. Yeah, got a Viking vibe going on there.
Yeah, I added him to your character sheet as well, the full-size picture, because then he'll show
Yeah.
up like on the right when we look at that. All right, so we're just going to skip right into it and do like initiative or whatever. So I'm looking on page 72 in the combat actions.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, how do we do initiative in this game? I forgot. I feel like it has some options. Isn't it like a D something?
I can't remember. I'll be absolutely honest.
All right, who remembers in the chat?
Yeah, I've not played this before. As I say, it's only reading, and it doesn't stick with me. I have to play.
Dude, I've never played it either. So
Yes. Page 66 is initiative, so there's a surprise round, and then
Brent's
it's a dex
saying,
check.
oh, Brent's saying D20, but it's not. It's a dex check. Surprise round, players roll for initiative. Each makes a dex check if the P fails. Oh, okay, yeah. If you fail your dex check, you're after the monster. If you succeed, you're before. On a great success, you go before any boss monsters. If you fail, players work out the order between themselves. So you can just make a dex check with your character sheet.
Okay, so rolling a d20 against my score of dex, yeah?
Yeah, but you can probably just look right at your character sheet. We'll have, where are we at? Toke. So see how it's got like some die rolls there on the side? So you have your dex.
Oh, right. If I click on that die roll.
Yeah, if you click on that D20 right here.
Ah, there we go. Okay.
All right.
And that's
success.
come up in roll 20, yeah.
All right, so you go first.
Okay, well, I've got a... How far away is he from me? Are we in melee or...?
Let's just do melee for now.
Yeah. Okay, well, I've got a spear, so... I guess I'm going to use that if I just get my weapons up. Okay, and I believe I have +2 onto hit for that. So if I roll that...
Ooh, so 19 is a good roll, right? Yeah, you rolled a 16. So the way
Yeah.
AC works in this game is it's ascending AC.
Yep.
Oh, nice, Brent. You're used to playing the original LFG. This isn't. I kind of like this because in some games like DCC or something, what I'll do is I'll roll, and then it only matters if the player rolls higher or lower than the initiative, and then you know if you go before or after the creature, right? So this is kind of similar to that. The only thing that's weird is it doesn't matter what the character has, like for initiative bonus or anything like that. It matters for the PC, but not for the creature. But I'm sure that, like any other game, the creatures will sometimes have abilities that sometimes change that. So, pretty cool. I think that's a common thing in games. You know, you set the status quo and then you change the status quo.
Yeah.
All right, man. What are you gonna do? You gonna chop with this, or are you gonna stab with your spear?
Yeah.
And you did. You hit, and you do 3 points of damage. All right.
Yep.
All right. So the Scorn is not very well armored. He just has like some clothing and some. It looks like he's got a leopard hide wrapped around his neck, and he's carrying a heavy club. Wrong one. Here we go. You did 3 points, right?
Yep. 3 points.
All right. Cool. So he is going to strike back.
Of course, the one thing I failed to do was to get my armor sorted out.
Oh yeah, you had one armor, so that's a good thing. We'll just go back and check out the
Yeah.
armor. It's very simple.
So on the character sheet, would that go into worn inventory, I assume?
Let me reopen your character sheet. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, and I could have from my gear pack, I'm allowed one type, aren't I?
Yeah, one type. So you would probably want to look to see if Rangers have. I think that's a
They
new
could use
class.
light and medium.
Okay, and so there's just a bunch of examples of what that is, and you decide what it is. So you're going to be affected. The negative effects of medium armor is a -2 on move silent and swim checks, but you get +2 to your AC.
Yeah, I'd probably go leather armor. I think I'd rather have the stealth. Not have the negative stealth bonus.
And that can be anything. It doesn't have to be leather. It could be. You could call it studded leather. You could call it heavy hides. You could call it whatever you want. It's
yeah.
Okay. And then
Okay.
it's
Then.
just a +1 to your AC.
Right. Okay then. That's how I think I'd go with this character, because hopefully there will be a some type of frontline fighter in the party.
Yeah.
Because I see mine more as a missile guy who's going to be, second row really.
Okay. So when you this is part of the simplicity, I think, and that crossover between story game and traditional game, where it's basically just letting you do whatever you want. And a lot of OSR adjacent games do this. When I talk about OSR adjacent, I mean like Black Hack, Dungeon World, Knave, all of those games that give you an OSR feel, but really have modern mechanics like, Powered by the Apocalypse game or something.
Okay. Where does the AC go on the character sheet? I'm just... I see. Yeah. Okay.
I would guess it's in this top part.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So it's armor class 10. This starts at, doesn't it? So.
Did you roll your hit points?
I don't believe I did. I think it's defaulted to that because it is 1d4 plus 4, isn't it, for a ranger? Should I do that in roll 20 now?
That should be 9. I think I'll just give you max at first level.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Although it is kind of defeating that purpose by just giving you a D4+4, but whatever. I don't care. It seems like it's deadly enough that I'm not going to be too worried about that.
Yeah, at least with that, stand a chance of taking a hit.
Yeah, because your guy could be dead right now.
Yep. So he's AC 7 then, I think, at the top, because I've got a mod of 2 on the decks.
You want to go up.
Does count, doesn't it?
But you want to go
up.
up.
Going up.
So you'd be 13.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I'm very old school.
Me too, bro. All right, it doesn't look like the Scorn has a bonus or anything, but he is heavily muscled, so you certainly don't want to get hit by this thing. And he misses you. All right, so you want to go ahead and make a dex check?
Yep.
What do you think? Do you like rolling initiative each round, or do you prefer just to keep it?
I prefer it each round, personally. I find that the problem is that if you do it at the beginning of a combat and you end up being last, I find this particularly in 5th Ed, is you can end up not actually doing anything in combat, because every time you go to hit something, it's either been killed, and you have to then move to the next one, and next round he's been killed, so you end up doing nothing.
Crazy.
Yeah. But that's just me. I like doing it each round.
All right, so let's see what the chat room thinks. So if you think that we should roll initiative once, and then keep that throughout the combat, vote for put a number 1 in your. If you think we should roll it every round, put a number 2. Right now we're going to do it every round, but I want to see for the future. So go ahead. Oh, Brent says 1 anyway. He's the only one really paying attention now anyhow, I think.
No.
Heavy Project bot. We got a lot of bots in here. Alfred Judo Cuss 817. Welcome to Hobbs 665 Twitch channel. Welcome to the Gamerhood, bro. Total Geek the First. Are these guys bots? What do you think?
I don't know.
All right, so
why do they put bots in there? Sorry, I should have done it on the
yeah, man. Use your sheet.
Character sheet. Yeah, I know. I'll do it on the sheet. I'll do it on the sheet. I've got to get used to that.
Oh, okay. Great success. So it said something like you could even go before boss monsters in that situation.
Oh, right. Okay. So, excellent. And so that's.
I thought I'd read somewhere that, like, if you do that first, it is also like surprise or something. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, right.
I don't think we're doing that in this situation.
Okay. So if I have a lunge with my spear again, I guess, see if I can.
Okay, so I don't
whittle him away.
I don't know how far you read in this, but it does have some interesting things. Have you played Dungeon Crawl Classics before?
Only the once, so I'm not very familiar with it.
So this game does have martial exploits on page 78. So a minor exploit would be like throwing sand in their eye or shifting and trying to blind them, maybe with using the blade of your spear to shine light in his eyes, or try to gather up his leopard cloak and try and bring him off balance. Or you can do all sorts of things in this game, so you can really get into the narrative action of a combat. Instead, it's not just I'm going to constantly hit and then I'm going to constantly miss.
Constantly hit, right?
And you can even go as far as to do major exploits, which can do even more than a minor exploit, but you have to make a luck check, or you don't even have to. You have to make a luck check, or you just lose a point of luck. I can't remember which.
I think it's with the luck checks, isn't it? If you're successful, your luck goes down by 1.
Yeah. But a major exploit you can use, but it does also lower your luck. So obviously it's a resource that gets limited throughout the combat or through the session.
And then luck comes back, does it, with a long rest?
Yes. Yeah. But long rests in this game are like 4 days or something.
Oh, right. Okay.
So a minor exploit doesn't cost any luck.
Okay. Yeah, just having a quick read through that. I think I had read this a few weeks ago when we originally were talking about it. I need to have a more detailed read tomorrow morning, I think.
So you can definitely get into it and add some exploitation.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Is there any sand around?
Sure.
Yep.
Hey, Courtney. Did you just fly in here and then run off to go watch Bad Bunny? Courtney Campbell in the chat room, people. Do you know who Courtney Campbell is, Andy?
No, I'm afraid not.
Have you ever heard of Mega Dungeon Zine?
No. I'm very naive about a lot of these zines and stuff. I'm relatively new back into the hobby, Hobbs. That's what, after a long hiatus.
You should find the Hack and Slash blog.
Yeah?
Yep, if you've ever read any blogs, you should definitely check out Hack and Slash. Anyone in the chat room, you should also check out Hack and Slash blog. Courtney Campbell.
All right. Yep, I've got it. I'll bookmark that one. Excellent. Thanks for that.
You're very welcome. If anyone was to listen to Hobbs and Friends episode 50-something, you'd also hear Courtney talk about some cool stuff. Oh, like his recent Kickstarter. Courtney, I've added you to the raffle. If you want to win this beautiful book.
Okay, so if we say I throw some sand into his eyes, that's going to be a dex check, is it? To see if I can get an exploit.
Are you going to say what you want the exploit to be, right?
Right, okay. Can I try and blind him, I guess? Throw some sand into his eyes, try and gain a... Do I get a bonus onto another attack if it's successful?
All right, so it looks like it's an opposed dex check.
Okay.
Well, you have a great success on your dex check, which is like back-to-back great successes. All right, so how do I make an opposed dex check? It's in the skills. I'm sure. Oh, I know my dex is right here. So I got a dex 10, so I need to roll. Slash R 1d20 less than 10. 0 successes. All right, so you've definitely been successful. And so you get a free round.
So he's not going to attack during this round, is it?
You have to attack and do damage, and then do opposing dex. But you did that, right? Because you hit 22. You did 5 points of damage. So that was actually successful. And now you can attack again. I'm going to take the 5 points of damage off of him, too.
Okay. How's he looking?
Half. Oh, he looks, what do they call it in this game? Staggered.
Okay. So, the weapon, let's have a go with my spear then. I'm going to try and ram that right in him while he's slightly distracted.
Or temporarily blinding, so... Okay. Man, you hit him again. You're on fire. You don't have to mess around. I should probably let him do something while he's blind, because I think there's some stuff in this game that says that. So you did... But it's not going to matter, I don't think, because you did 5 points plus 3 is 8. Oh, yeah, so that kills him.
Yay.
Yeah, so you just, like, destroyed the scorn, man.
Good rolls, though.
So that was no problem at all. And it's good for us to start looking at these exploits. But what you should know is what happens if an exploit fails.
Ah, indeed. Does that give him an advantage then, I assume?
Yeah, so it's on page 75. So it looks like you become staggered if you didn't succeed.
Right. Yeah, so we need to weigh that up as to... Fortunately, I've got a pretty good deck, so it's probably worth me doing that type, using those type of exploits.
Yeah, and I think that's why this game is cool, is because it includes this more narrative action on the combat, which is why I wrote that ACC combat addendum for old school games, because that's what it's supposed to do as well. is to increase those capabilities of doing more narrative things and making your combat more narrative as opposed to completely abstract, but give you a system or a mechanic to actually do that instead of just hand waving it or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that goes. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm really intrigued by how this all goes for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely got some extra bits and pieces on something like, say, Old School Essentials or BX. There's that little bit more spice to it, isn't there?
There is, and it's twofold. In some ways, it's more front-loaded character, like 5e has, the opposite of what Old School Essentials is, and it also has this edge of narrative or story type games added to it as well. All right, so option 1-1. So it's round by round initiative, I think they call it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's an extra dice that's rolled, but I don't really take, on board what people say is, oh, it slows it down a lot. It's just one roll each combat round.
And it adds some tension.
Yeah.
When I do D6 side initiative, that is a really high tension roll, single roll. It's probably it's more than combat usually when you're trying to attack. It's because if we can go first,
yeah,
it really makes a difference.
Yeah. And you've got to be more careful because next round you might not get it. If you've got it in one round, you might not have it in the other round. So you've got to take that into account.
Yeah, and if you lose an initiative, you're going second. You can almost go twice in a row sometimes. So that also, but they can as well. The enemy. So
yeah,
it's pretty interesting. I hope with doing initiative the way we are with this game and having the exploits, I'm really expecting some like team efforts of like trying to set people up and do some different things like that you don't normally see in more of a trad game. So I'm interested in that. I like to see what happens. I like to try all sorts of games, and Steve was like really generous with product and just trying to get his game out there. So,
yeah,
I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah. Does it have much of a following in the States at all then, Hobbs? Low fantasy gaming yet, or is it early days?
I know some people that are aware of it. I was aware of it, but I never had used it really. I got the book. I really got excited about Midlands, honestly. The setting, and then I was like, oh, I should check out this game. And reading it, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of interesting stuff in here that I really want to see happen and play. And to be intrigued by a game like that says something, I think, just when you consider the number of games that I've played or do play constantly. I don't know. What do you think reading it over and actually playing it and checking it out? I mean, this character sheet seems pretty extensive.
Yeah, I like the character sheet. It's taken a little bit of time to get used to it because it's got quite a lot of options in there, but actually it's quite good. And of course, I'm getting used to clicking on these buttons for the rolls. Something even when I've done Roll20 before, we've always done it in chat, but I like the idea of using these, which I assume are just firing macros off in the background.
Yeah.
So that certainly adds to it.
Yeah, I think it should be interesting. I mean, your token is connected to that as well, so if there's things that your tokens need to do, it may include that in a token action or something. I don't really know. I don't like to get too crazy about using that stuff because I don't want the game to be about trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
But in the early days, when we just start a new campaign, if it helps us and it could help anyone who's watching, that seems like it has some value.
Yeah. Yeah. I certainly think with the combat, it's going to take a few combats before get used to the exploits and stuff. But it's the same with any new game, isn't it?
For sure. So what's that map behind
you? That is the Wilderlands.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You're a big Rob Conley fan, aren't you?
I am indeed, yes. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I've got all his new stuff now because he's finished off reproducing the Wilderlands in the 4 booklets and the maps, but that's just a big one-piece one. Are you familiar with the Wilderlands, Hobbs? Or
My brother bought City State of the Invincible Overlord when we were. I mean, I started gaming when I was 8 years old, so 1978. And the Wilderlands must have come out in the mid 80s. Does that sound right?
No, it was 77. I think was the first of them.
The City State.
Yeah, it was. The City State was 76.
Damn.
Yeah, that was. The first one I got was in 1981 for Christmas. My parents bought me the World Emperor.
Yeah, I didn't know it was that old.
Yeah.
I remember him having it, and I was like, oh, I don't need that. I was playing Thieves World. I was using Sanctuary in my games.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay, that's the multi-system one, wasn't it? The box set?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was using that and made a setting around it that wasn't in that world or whatever, but then just used the Thieves World as my own, and we played that for a long time. 76 is the campaign installment, it says. I would guess, and I don't even know what it looked like, probably 81, 83 maybe? Because it wasn't 99, it wasn't, because it was still would have been AD&D time, I think.
Yeah.
But have you used that a lot then in your games?
The Wilderlands?
Yeah.
No, I've never actually ran a campaign in it. I sort of played around with it in the 80s a little bit, but really I did my own world back then, but it's always been my favourite setting, the Wilderlands.
It kind of set up the hex crawl in some ways better than, like, I mean, I didn't see anyone really using Greyhawk to hex crawl around,
No.
We obviously had that. I had the big maps and we would talk about it or play like we were generals in different places attacking the Scarlet Brotherhood or whatever, but didn't actually do any hex crawls back then. Honestly, I don't think I ever did a hex crawl until the last 10 years, so.
Yeah, I'm the same. I can't recall doing what I'd call a proper hex crawl back in those days. It was all dungeon stuff, really.
I mean, we played Isle of Dread, which you were kind of hex crawling around, but it wasn't like a campaign of hex crawling.
Yeah.
We played a couple adventures that might have been like that. B2, obviously, Keep on the Borderlands, but I can remember running Keep on the Borderlands and playing it, but I don't remember a ton of walking around outside. Oh, you made your way to the caves, and that was it. Which cave are you going into?
Yeah, but the caves were so close to the keep as well, weren't they, if you played it by the book?
Yeah. I recently, when I say recent, maybe 5 years ago now, Eric Hoffman had a Keep on the Borderlands campaign online that he ran during holidays. And so it was always day gaming in that, and it was like 5 years ago probably. But we had great fun with that, and we actually did all the real stuff, and it was a true dungeon crawl, or a true hex crawl, for sure. And we went all over the place. He added quite a few things to it, including playtesting some stuff that he published later in Pete Spahn's book. So it was pretty cool. And that was my real first experience, probably hex crawling. And that's why when I started the Kalmata game.
Ah, right. Yeah.
So pretty damn awesome. All right, so we are going to be playing this in 12 and a half hours.
Cool.
Any last things we want to talk about? Anybody in the chat want to say anything? I haven't seen anything in the chat in quite a while, so I don't even know if they're still there. I don't know how these things work.
No, I think we frightened them off.
All right, well, good work then. Oh, they're still here. Nice, Brent. Thanks, buddy. So this was actually almost like a Hobbs and Friends show, but we had some visuals.
Yeah, not too many technical problems once we got going as well. It seems to be relatively smooth.
I have about 3,000 hours on Roll20.
Ah, right,
So
okay.
on that part, I'm actually pretty good at it. I like it.
You prefer Roll20 to Fantasy Grounds then, or?
Oh, by a lot.
Yeah.
I played in Howard Bailiff's Advanced Dungeons and Dragons game, and we played that. I played it maybe 5 or 10 sessions, and that was on Fantasy Grounds, and I kind of hated it, to be honest. Hopefully, Fantasy Grounds gives me a call and wants to sponsor me sometime, and then I'll change my the whole thing. But right now, no. I mean, I felt like it was super slow, but I don't have 3,000 hours on Fantasy Grounds, so if I did, maybe I would be way, way better at it. So that was an actually pretty cool group. It was Ungainly Sword, who is a pretty big D&D Twitter guy.
Right.
Larry Hout, and dang, I can't even remember now. I ended up stopped playing because all of our characters were like made with AD&D core rules, and then some new guys came in to add some players, and they were using Unearthed Arcana rules. So like there was a dude who had double specialized bow, and when he's point blank, he's firing like 4 arrows, and he gets +4 on every one, and they're all critical hits, and it was just like, this is dumb, and so I quit.
Yeah, I never played with Unearthed Arcana. By that time, I'd switched to RuneQuest.
See, I want to play that. I've never played that.
Never played RuneQuest?
Nope, and I've gotten a lot of people who've told me that it really kind of shifts right into my game, the way I play or run or something feels really more like RuneQuest than it does maybe old school games, or old school Essentials or BX or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I played RuneQuest from sort of, must have been about 85 to 89 as my main game. And I've just got back into it with the RuneQuest in Glorantha, which is an absolutely glorious hardback book.
Yeah, I've heard Shay talking about it.
It's getting a lot of mention here.
That's good, though. I want to play in that game. That's why I'm trying to get him playing in this game on Saturdays, and then he's going to have to run an online game for me.
I think he was talking, wasn't he, about it's whether he can settle on a system.
Yeah, good luck with
GURPS
that.
at the moment. It's GURPS at the moment. That's the one that we're going with.
So Brent Taylor says he keeps hesitating to buy the 3-book RuneQuest in Glorantha set. It looks so good.
It's glorious. I've got the box set. I'll go as far as to say it's the best, certainly presented rule system I've ever come across. It's just gorgeous.
So is that a rule set in the Glorantha, but isn't that a setting?
The Glorantha, okay, the RuneQuest in Glorantha, there's a source book, but it is Glorantha is part of the source book as well, if you understand me. The setting is part of the rule set.
Rules.
So yeah, and there's a bestiality, a bestiary,
Easy.
and and also a GM's pack in there as well, which is good.
All right, it sounds cool. Sounds expensive.
It was expensive.
Chaosm does that, or who does that?
Yeah, they're back in charge of RuneQuest now.
Well, it sounds like they made some money.
Yeah, it seems to have. Well, certainly round our way over here in the UK, RuneQuest has got a little bit of traction again. We've got a con that runs once a year now, which is just for Glorantha.
Oh, GloranthaCon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Shay went to that. You two guys went together.
That's right. Yeah, and they've just organised another one for the end of April next year. So I'll hopefully going to that.
So Shadow World's talking about his background. He's saying that he played Red Box, so that would be Menser, and then AD&D, and then Palladium Fantasy First Edition. Do you play Palladium at all?
No. I've had this discussion with, do you know Dave Aldridge at D Percentile?
I've never met him.
Yeah. If you've come across him, him and Shay have played it quite a lot. I read the rule book and it just didn't make any sense to me. I must admit, it just seemed so complicated, and so I never played it.
I called it trash once in a podcast, and I got a lot of hate mail for that. I did play TMNT though in the late '80s, which I think is the same system, right?
Not sure.
Shadow's going to tell us.
The setting was supposed to be good for Palladium, I gather, wasn't it? Was that Rifts?
It is, but I don't think they're necessarily together. Like Rifts wouldn't be in Palladium. Palladium would be in Rifts, I guess. But I think they're separate because it's more of a Arthurian legend kind of game, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's maybe more what it's trying to emulate. So that's a pretty cool thing. I see Brent Taylor just mentioned the City of Mist. So do you know who Kevin Madison, Dungeon Musings is? Have you ever heard of him, Andy?
No. I don't know City of Mist. That's
So YouTuber Kevin Madison, his YouTube is Dungeon Muser, and he runs like 3 or 4 games a week. So he's running like Pathfinder 2, Starfinder, Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea. He's using Pathfinder, I think, to play Barrow Maze right now. So he's running a lot of different stuff, and on his Discord they were just mentioning City of Mist today. It's post-apocalyptic, I think. So
okay.
So Brent just started playing 3 years ago. Started with 13th Age. See, I've never played that before.
No, me neither.
Moved to 5e, Castles and Crusades, City of Mist, and Call of Cthulhu. So I've played all of those except City of Mist and 13th Age.
Yeah, same with me. I was a big Call of Cthulhu fan.
Oh, City of Mist is urban fantasy, pulpy noir. So what the heck? Why did he say? I think he was just going to use the system for post-apocalyptic or something. I got to Google this now. All right, City of Mist. It definitely uses the pulp noir font. Oh, it won an Ennie in 2018, which was the best year for the Ennies, or at least the people who got nominated for Ennies.
Don't go there, Hobbs. There's so many role-playing systems now. It's almost impossible to know them all, isn't it?
Well, it's way easier to know them now than it was when we didn't have the internet. But, yeah, I don't know what the heck this is. It looks really pulpy, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just having a look myself at cityofmist.co.
Oh, boy, this offer ends October 15th. Get it now. Supernatural Detective Noir. That's what I would have said. Cyberpunk 2020. The funniest thing about those cyberpunk genre is looking at like it's like playing Traveler or whatever. What they felt like was far science fiction compared to almost everything we do now is beyond it, right? Except for flying cars.
Yeah. The only cyberpunk I've ever played was Shadowrun, I think, the first edition. So I don't know how that's progressed now, because it's still going, isn't it, Shadowrun, I think?
I think they just put some new stuff out, yeah. I only tried to play it one time, but I've read it many times. It's like Deadlands. All right. Well, this is awesome, but I feel like I could actually be doing some work. I appreciate you guys coming on,
Yep.
and I can do some more prep work and probably read over these rules again.
Yep, I'm going to do the same, I think, tomorrow morning, get myself ready. So it'll be 3 o'clock for me tomorrow, I think, in the afternoon.
Well, at least you can get some sleep.
Yeah, excellent. I shall catch you then, Hobbs, yeah?
Yeah, let me shut down this stream and all that stuff. All right, guys, chatters out there, I got your names down for the raffle, and maybe I'll do it for like 7 days, and then every time you're in the chat room, I'll put a new raffle ticket in for you. That'll be cool. That'll bring people to come to multiple channels, and then it'll be a fun draw. All right, so guys out there, I'm going to end it like I do my podcast. You got a job to do, so stay alive. I hope you enjoyed this little trip through Mr. Hobbs' Gamerhood, and we shall see you again. Hey, let's leave it with TJ's music.
It's a beautiful day in the Gamerhood, a beautiful day for my gamers. Would you be one? Could you be one? Shout about thunder, but don't despair. This colony's breeding great robbers. Would you be one? Could you be one? If the 80% mortality rate works for you, for a few bucks a month you can sign up and have the heart